All right, Scott. Well, I guess you're on deck. Yeah. Deck. D-E-C-K. So in an argument with Lacey Lee about oil prices, Scott says no new drilling of oil on federal lands. He lost the price of oil with that policy, and that's not even debatable. Joe wanted to import more foreign oil from Russia. That's not debatable? Scott? You sure about that, Scott? So just to be clear, you're saying no new drilling of oil on federal lands has caused this. So what you're saying, a problem with the supply of oil caused higher prices. That is what you are saying. Now, the problem with your assertion is that we have drilled more wells on federal land under the current administration than we did the last. So no new drilling of oil on federal lands. That's not a thing, Scott. We're drilling more wells now than we were under the Trump administration. In addition, Scott, we have increased production on federal land under this administration at a faster clip than we did the last administration. If there was no new drilling on federal land, these numbers would be tanking because of the decline curve of the existing wells. You have to drill a lot of wells to increase production. So since you do acknowledge that it's a supply problem, what was the supply problem? Huh? What was it? Could it possibly be the OPEC 2020 deal, Scott, which Donald Trump brokered a 10% production cut by OPEC for 2 years? Do you have any idea how big a 10% production cut is to global markets? Reduced global output by 10 million barrels a day? And then production will also be reduced by 8 million barrels a day from July through December and 6 million barrels a day until April of 2022. That's 18 months into the current administration. And that is why OPEC's share of global production dropped from over 40% under the last administration to 36% under the current administration. Because they are producing over 3 million barrels a day less, even today, than they were under the last administration. And look here at the first year of the Biden administration. They went from 37 to 32, 5 million barrels a day less. What about the Russian oil imports, Scott? When Donald Trump took office, it was 11,192. Oil imports from Russia nearly doubled under the Trump administration. Can I say that one more time? I can? Oil imports from Russia nearly doubled under the Trump administration. Scott, I have done my good deed for the day, educating you about this stuff. So if you need your shoes tied, you're going to have to ask somebody else.